Alright, so this is going to be a little bit more of a involved tutorial on a really powerful tool that we can use when you're kind of willing to take that next step from just teaching on Zoom into maybe doing something a little bit more. This is a program called OBS, which stands for Open Broadcaster Software. When you see open in the software world, that usually means a good thing. That means it's open source, which means people are creating this and creating it for free. And this is something that's been created for free. You can download for free on the internet, and it's a pretty reliable source. Never had any problems with viruses or anything from it. It's well-known source. A lot of people are using it. And what it does is it allows you to record by using a variety of sources. You can choose which microphone you want to use. You can hook your camera up to it. You can have your screen showing. You can have it hooked up, to show only a web page. It's actually pretty slick, but it's also a little complicated. But I'm just going to go through the basics. So once you get the basics, then you can start working on doing the more complicated things. What's really cool about this is that you can not only use this to pre-record, say, your classes, but you can also use it to be your camera in the background in Zoom. Zoom actually uses what's called an OBS virtual camera. So what you're looking at right now is you're looking at one of my screens, and what you're seeing in the background here, it seems a little bit confusing because it's showing you the live screen that I'm recording on, which has the OBS on, which means it's a picture inside of a picture inside of a picture. So as I move this around, it does get a little confusing. It also has my web camera that I'm using. It allows me to use the microphone that I like to use to record with. There you go. And I don't know if you noticed, but I've also got up here in the corner a little Thomas Jefferson Raiders logo. And this is this coolest thing with Zoom is that I can put these logos and I can move these things around to how I want to record them. All right, so down here you have the sources. Actually, before we get going, we got to start with the basics. Where do I get this free software from? The free software you can get from going to OBS. I just did a Google search for OBS, which stands for Open Broadcaster Software. obsproject.com. It works on Windows, Macs, and quite frankly, if you're using Linux, you don't need this tutorial. So you're going to go to this OBS software. You're going to download it. It's not too huge of a download. So it shouldn't take you that long to download this. If you want to use this in Zoom, if you go up here where it says Tools, if it doesn't say Virtual Cam in Tools, then you are going to have to go to this OBS Studio and click on, I just did a Google search for OBS Virtual Cam. This is where it came up, and you just download it where it says go to download, and it's just a plug-in for the main program that allows you to do that. So how do you set this up? So the first thing we have here is the scenes, and you can have different scenes do different things. So you can have different configurations if you want to set it up. For example, when I have Zoom going on, this is going to be the introductions to my classes. And then I can go back to this scene and have this going on. This is the only part that's a little bit intimidating. What you're going to have to do, you can see I have all these sources right here. You're going to have to go through and add those sources. Now, how do you do this? The sources are, what I mean by sources is that could be like your monitor, your microphone, your web camera. So ask yourself, okay, what do I want shown in this video? You hit this little plus right here and say, well, I want to have an audio input. So I want my microphone here. So I'm going to click on that. And by the way, you can have more than one microphone. You can have more than one webcam. If you have more than one webcam, you can have multiple webcams on the screen at the same time. I'm a science teacher, so it's really nice to be able to have my video on one screen and maybe an experiment happening on another screen. That way students can see this simultaneous. Now if you've already got your capture device in here, you would hit just choose whatever microphone you have, and then you would hit OK, and then OK. Now I'm not going to do that because I already have that right here. The next thing that you want to have is you want to put your desktop in there. So you want to add display capture. So which display? So I have at school I have 3 screens. At home I have 2 screens. So if I wanted to do a display capture, I can add that display capture here. That's going to come up display capture. So it's asking me to do a new one. I've already got one going. It's the one you're looking at. So I wanted to add a new one. Then I would say, okay, do I want display 1 or display 2, the one that we're looking at? So if I wanted to do my first monitor, I would click on that, and you can see all the nonsense that's going on. Let me close some of this nonsense out. So there we go. So there's my first monitor, and I can put that now. You can see it takes up a lot of room. It's really big. So it shows up in this red box, and okay, so my monitor is really big. And I could go through it and I could stack that anywhere I want on here. So if I wanted to have a second monitor that's running, but I just want it to be kind of small and off to the side, I could do that right here. Or I can resize this monitor and kind of have it like this. And now I can show that I have 2 monitors going on. Okay. Maybe I want to just do that for a moment. If I don't want this monitor to be shown, I can click this little eyeball right here and it's going to close it. And you might have noticed that I was going through and accidentally clicking things. If you want something to stay in place and not to accidentally click it and move it around, you can hit this little lock thing. So if I look display capture number 1, I click the little lock box and now I can't move it. And that's probably something when you decide what you want to do, lock everything down. That way you don't kind of mess up while you're trying to do what you're doing. All right, but for now I'm going to resize this back up to the full screen and center it up. All right, so another thing that you might want to do is add an image. So here I've got this image right here. So let's say I wanted to add an image. I've got some dead space down here, and maybe I wanted to fill that image with a dead space. So I would click on plus and click on image, and okay, I've got existing images already, or I can create a new image to which I have on my desktop here somewhere. And let's just say I wanted this, let's say I wanted to put a GIF in there. So I could put an animated GIF in there. There you go, that's my little animated GIF. And I can move that around to wherever I want that animated GIF. And that could just be kind of running in the background while you're teaching. All right. So that's one thing you can do, and if it gets in your way, just remember, if it gets in your way, you can just go ahead and hit the little eyeball. And if you have a situation where you know, you want this screen to be in front of your video, you can rearrange the importance of them. So we have the display capture 1, display capture 2. You can move them up and down to see where you want. So video capture device, that's my webcam. I'm going to move that to be on top because I want that to be on top at all times. And then I'm going to resize my screen to kind of work with that. Okay, so that's all pretty cool. But what if I want Zoom to work with this? So once again, if you want Zoom to show what you're showing on this, you don't have to be recording. And by the way, you start recording by hitting the start recording thing. You need to download the virtual camera plugin. Okay. Then you are going to start Zoom. I'm going to start a new meeting right here. So there we go. There's my new meeting. And now my screen's awfully cluttered here. But what's going on with Zoom is going to bring this up full. Whoa. Okay, it doesn't like that. Once again, it's a camera within a camera. What I would do normally, since I've got the Zoom meeting up, what I would do normally is I would just take the OBS and I would move it off to another screen so you don't have to look at it. But there's your Zoom right there, and once again, it's giving me a picture within a picture within a picture. How do you do this? Well, what you need to do is where it says stop video, you can go up to where it says, well, UVC is the name of the camera, my normal webcam that I have. That's not going to be working right now because it wants to be working with this UVC camera. And since I went away, now I'm going to have to stop. I'm going to have to stop, unfortunately. It's one of those things you have to have OBX running in the first place. I think I'm going to have to stop. Nope, I know the solution to this actually. I'm going to have to go up into Tools, Virtual Cam. So if that's not working, you need to go Tools, Virtual Cam, hit Stop, and then hit Start. And then hopefully that's going to start Zoom again. There you go. So now, there you go. So you have to, in order to get the virtual cam working on Zoom, you have to go up into Tools, Virtual Cam, and then hit Start. And then you can use whatever's going on here on Zoom. And you don't have to, if you've got more than one screen, so you don't get this screen within a screen within a screen within a screen, you don't have to use Zoom on that page. So the last thing I want to show you is if where this becomes really useful is when you want to say do a PowerPoint or something like that. So if I bring up one of my PowerPoints, here's one on stellar evolution, and I start the PowerPoint, you can see that the PowerPoint has taken over the screen. This is one of those situations that I would move Zoom off into another screen if I can, but you would have the PowerPoint in the background, and you also have, you should have me showing up in the corner. And then you can kind of work on your PowerPoint and talk about what's going on while it goes on. So that is the quick and dirty, some of the basics. I'm sure there's so much more detail that you can get in with this. You can get into talking about just setting up different scenes for different configurations and how you want to do it, setting up different equipment. And to be honest with you, I still haven't figured this out. You can stream this on things like Twitch. Apparently gamers, one of the big things that's loved about this is people like play video games and show it online. This is how they do it. So it's a really cool record stream program. So for what it's worth, that is a nice little intro. I'll try to, as I learn this program better myself, I will try to create more content with it.